In the compute sum section, we have everything working quite nicely. It gathers these two strings, the 7 and 4, converts them to numbers, adds them together, and writes out a message that contains 3 different variables. So that's all working fine, and what we did is write it to a heading. Now this has introduced an error that we have that we've not had before, and it's when we go to validate the page. We get this warning that there's an empty heading. Now notice we have empty paragraphs and they don't show up as a problem. So the validator doesn't care about empty paragraphs, but it does in fact care about empty headings. So to fix this, we actually need to put some content here. We can just put some text, and then when we refresh it, that will actually show up there. And now when we choose that file, we're choosing the HTML file and we validate it, we no longer have that error. So now we have this compute sum there, and we add values. And when we compute sum, watch, it will replace that word sum with what we wanted in our output. And then when we refresh, that sum comes back and it's there. Now, if you don't want a value to show up, and if you can think of a word to put here when the page first loads, that's great. But if you can't think of one, then that's a bit of a problem. So what you can do is you can add a special character space. So if I just put a space here, that's not enough for it to pass the validator. I choose the file again, and I try it with a space in there, and I get that error message even though there is a space in there. But I can put the special character space in there. Now special characters start with ampersand. These are HTML characters. Start with ampersand and end with semicolons. And the one I'm looking for is NBSP, non-breaking space. And there's the special code for a space, the HTML code for a space. Now I refresh that. Nothing shows up. It still saves the place for the heading, so that space is still there, but there is a hard-coded space in there. And now when we do a validation, we no longer get that warning. So that's how you can work with a heading that you don't want any content in.